ask Greg Combet a question? When I said backstage, he got really excited, lit up. Put your hand in the air, and if someone puts a microphone in it, start talking.
Thank you very much for a very entertaining discussion tonight, and thanks to the Wheeler Centre for supporting it again. I'll get the bad news out of the way to begin with, Greg. Greg, the Trade Union Royal Commission has played a covert recording of a phone call between the ultimate sleazebag, the former ALP president and HSU boss and now convicted criminal Michael Williamson, and his offsider Chris Brown. The recording is on the net so everyone can hear it. In the conversation, he says he had a conversation with you the day before the relevant phone tap.
What date is this supposed to have happened to?
Look, I guess it's a couple of years ago.
I was a minister in the government.
During that conversation, he says he told you the HSU was going to nominate Kathy Jackson as the new secretary of the ACTU. And you replied, his quote, "We need more intellectual geniuses like her in Parliament." And he says you guys, quote, "effing hated her." Did you have any conversations whatsoever with Williamson during the period he was supposed to have stood aside from running the HSU? And in particular, can you comment on any such conversations along the lines that he quotes?
Are you working for the Royal Commission or something? The answer, no, that's okay. No. I know nothing about it. I didn't have a conversation with him. This is a guy who's in jail, right? Who defrauded the union. As a minister in the government in particular, what cause would I have had to have any conversation with him? And I can tell you I had none. So he's the sort of guy who would, concoct that in order to sound important or something, that he's got Greg Combet on board or something for a particular position. I didn't have any such conversation, and, nor would I.
Thank you. I've got a question on more general lines, but similar. Given what you said about your values and beliefs in the Labour movement, you must be pretty disappointed with some of the things that are coming out about how the HSU has behaved and some of the other things that are coming out in that Royal Commission. Could you comment on that, please?
Yeah, sure. I am. Obviously, the conduct in the Health Services Union, it's just completely appalling and disgusting, and I hope that anyone's associated with it is prosecuted successfully and ends up in jail. I and many thousands of other people genuinely commit their lives to the Labour movement and to working with diligence and responsibility to representing working people and looking after their contributions they make to make a union work, and that's how I tried to conduct myself, and they're the values I tried to impart to others in the trade union movement. From time to time, of course, like in many other institutions across society, corrupt people with really bad values become involved, and they seek to make gain themselves through all sorts of means. Sometimes also you have others who are tremendously passionate and committed, but they don't understand the limits of their power or, what's ethical conduct and what's not. For example, I remember in 2001 I had one almighty fight in Melbourne because one union that essentially, bikies had infiltrated it, and the secretary of the union was associated with a break-in at a property and, alleged assault of people and the smashing of property. That this argument went around that this was legitimate industrial conduct, and I couldn't believe it. And we ran him out of town, and that was a hard fight. My colleague, Doug Cameron, who's now a senator, he was assaulted twice outside of his home in Sydney during the course of that struggle, but we ran them out of the union, and that one particular official ended up in jail for a year. So there are all sorts of times and circumstances where your values, you need to fight for them. And you can't have the movement and the cause and the institutions that you're involved with have their reputations besmirched by others' bad conduct. And so, putting the politics and ideology of the Trade Union Royal Commission to the side for a moment, because there's certainly some of that mixed up, to the extent that it's able to get in and root out people who don't hold those values and who've corrupted the organisations that they've been involved in, well, good riddance to them, and I welcome whatever the Royal Commission does on that front. But you've got to be careful not to mix that up with some of the politics and the political agenda that is undoubtedly involved in it, and I'm sure people in the community can see the difference in these things. In the end, with it having been properly conducted, and Dyson Hayden, who's conducting it, is a very eminent jurist and former High Court judge, I'm sure he's able to filter through all of this, and he'll filter through it well, and he'll identify the wrongdoing, and he'll separate that out from the rest of the crap, and he'll ensure that the wrongdoing is properly dealt with.